Here's a tip. If you need to have a car towed, leave it to the professionals. Otherwise, this could happen.
Don't do that!
Oh, boy.
Oh, jeez. That's a busy freeway in Houston. An SUV towing a sedan or trying to with just a chain connecting the two cars. And as you can see, it didn't go too well. Not only that, there is someone inside that sedan. Now, fortunately, no one got hurt, but the sedan is going to need some serious body work.
Oh, my God.
And can you believe this? And the driver of the SUV is facing multiple citations. And what were they thinking?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
just pull over now before it gets worse.
that is
They were thinking, oh man, they were thinking if I can get this off, the ad off, jeez. They were thinking, hey, we're going to save us a couple bucks on a tow job here. And it wound up, it's going to cost them, I bet you when the cops get done, or the judge gets done fining them, holy cow. It's probably going to cost them about $3 or $4 grand for a couple $100 tow, but wild scene going on there in the Big H, as they say. Some naked man was in a home in Echo Park. KNBC report. Here we go.
11 police arrested a man in Echo Park after he was found asleep and naked in a bed that was not his own. And now the man who lives there is speaking out about encountering that intruder in his house. NBC4's Darsha Phillips is live in downtown LA with this story for us. Darsha.
Yeah, Carolyn, this was definitely a strange break-in in Echo Park. The intruder didn't steal anything, but he destroyed a lot of things inside the home and then fell asleep naked inside of a bedroom.
As I stuck the key in, I could see the entire kitchen had been ransacked.
It was late Saturday night, Mother's Day weekend, when Michael Duarte got back to his Echo Park home.
How much do we want to bet this is a vagrant? I guess he thrashed the house, drank the booze, ate some vegetarian burgers. I don't know what this dude's up to, but I guess it's an Echo Park. I guess they got vegetarian burgers. Who eats that crap? Anyway, we'll get more into that with the Newsom garbage that he came out with the budget. Blaming everybody, we're going to have a $12 billion plus hole, and he blames everybody but himself. Here's a short clip on the vagrants.
Mobile crisis reference that I advanced in the budget. I hope we will take a look at the website we put together that showcases all of the reforms in the homelessness space, including all of the funds that are unprecedented in this space. The counties haven't even received the $1 billion yet that we just provided last year. They're about to receive them again. When I was mayor, we didn't receive $1. And I never would have said what the head of the CSAC said. As a county mayor, I said it's our responsibility. And the city and counties have to step up. I just want more accountability at the county level. I don't hear many mayors saying, well, those counties are really working extraordinarily collaboratively with us. I'd like to deal with that issue. By the way, Prop 1 deals with that issue as it relates to one single plan at every county level for behavioral health. Our accountability website is about that, to shed a light on people that are actually performing and those that are not. I highlighted Turlock a moment ago. I'm not trying to point fingers, but my gosh, the state has never done more in its history. We've flooded the zone.
Yes, you flooded the zone with vagrants. You, $100 billion since '04 when you became mayor of San Francisco. God, this guy, I don't know what you ladies see in that blank. That's got to be the most evil, one of the most evil people that ever walked the earth. We'll get more into this later on. Holy cow. I can't even, it's beyond Biden's stupidity. Here's another report, KCRA 3 on the budget.
Here's a live look as the governor continues to give his presentation. You can see him at the podium there. It looks like he is taking questions right now. You can hear him listening to reporters. KCRA 3's Ashley Zavala there, of course. Now, Governor Newsom has laid out his nearly $322 billion state spending plan for the upcoming fiscal year. This all comes after the state was projected to have a slight surplus for this fiscal year. The governor put some of the blame on economic uncertainty.
12 billion we were going to surplus, 332 billion what right after or just before he came in, we ran this whole state on 100 billion. In 8 years, 9 years, we're tripling the budget and we have all these. We should not have any trouble at all. We'll get me started on this. Holy Jesus. Freaking real. He also now is throwing, after $12 billion for health care for illegals in 1 year when they said it was only going to be 6. Now we're peeling back that idea.
Newsom is expected to call for the scaling back on health care for undocumented immigrants. The plan would bar undocumented adults from joining Medi-Cal.
They're frickin' illegal aliens, not undocumented workers. They're in the country frickin' illegally. We gave them $12 billion. We're borrowing 6 because we only budgeted $6 billion from stupid. State Farm is going to jump insurance rates and looks like approval, maybe as high as 38%. ABC 7 report from the Bay Area. Here we go.
Light to raise property insurance rates.
A rate hike before justifying it.
Today, the state's insurance commissioner gave State Farm the green light to raise property insurance rates as high as 38%.
Big.
Holy frickin' bejesus. On top of insurance, most people can't afford it if you can even get it. It's beyond out of control. Norco family, or the Corona man who was carjacked and dragged to his death, their family reacts. There's Alex Michelson from Fox News.
An Army veteran is mourning after he was killed in a brutal carjacking yesterday. We're learning more tonight about the veteran who was on his way to join his family to dinner. Let's go live to Fox 11's Ed Lascos, who's in Fontana tonight. Ed.
And we are learning much more about that violent carjacking and the elderly man who was targeted and dragged to his death. It all starts at a car wash where he'd been going for decades using the vacuum to clean out his Chevy Trailblazer. All excited about meeting his family for dinner. Oh, how he loved going to the buffet, they tell me, how he just loved all the food at the buffet. And then it changes tragically. Watch this.
It's a horrible feeling, and I hope he went quickly. Just to think of him being drugged a quarter mile or so. I know that street very well. It's where I grew up. That he was just ejected from the car. He really was roadkill. He was just left for dead.
She's the daughter of James Norman, the 79-year-old man dragged to his death during that violent carjacking in Norco. He wasn't wearing his hearing aid, so he probably never even heard or even knew what was happening.
He was vacuuming the back of his car, and I know people were saying he was hanging on to save his car. He backed up. The door slammed on him, and he was holding on for dear life.
Absolutely tragic story. Some of the things, along with Newsom. Donald Trump in Qatar, however they say it, Qatar. Everybody has a different way of saying that. Makes a deal with Boeing on planes. Here's a Fox News report. We thought. Yes, they're signing the deal with the Qatar government, Boeing, and Trump for 160 planes on that. So good job. Done. Gee.
You heard Boeing mentioned, and that's what this contract deals with.
And that's the CEO right there.
Yes, right on. And so they're making deals, and Boeing's got some time to make up for what really has been a lapse in some of the service that they provided here.
Where's all the nattering nabobs of negativism? Got a story out. Grocery prices the lowest they've been in 5 years. Who was president 5 years ago? Trump. Who was the highest? Who was president while they were the highest in the last 5 years? Harris and Biden and whomever was frickin' running the White House. Man, this stuff, it just gets crazier every flippin' day. I don't know how much more sometimes we can take of this. There's that funky slide guitar music. It comes in every Monday through Friday, live at 5. Evil Hippie Network, Rumble. I don't know, X giving me trouble again. YouTube, all that great stuff going down, as they say. Ah, man. We can only hope that Trump wins out over the great policies in the 100-plus days of the Trump administration can counteract the sheer stupidity, just assault on the fiber of everything we stand for that's been going on in California with Newsom and his latest budget deal and his little rant we'll get onto in a little bit. $12 billion budget deficit that we have. Oh, we were going to have a surplus again. And now that the COVID funny money has run out, funny, whatever you want to say, has went by the wayside. You've got this whole, and we'll get to the rant, he blames everybody on the vagrants. Everyone but himself, but to the budget, like they said. The Brown budget, the last Brown budget before he came in, total everything was just under $100 billion. We ran this frickin' state on $100 billion, everything. General slush funds, special funds, federal government money, whatever, the stuff that comes raining out of the sky, what they've been ripping us off in AB 32 and gas prices and everything else. The gouging of gas prices by Gavin Newsom. $322 billion were 3 times heavier. There should be no problems. Hell, they should be able to fund the illegal aliens here on health care. Now, at least after a year, we're cutting them back, which they should. You know, if you're in the country illegally, other than emergency services or somebody, you know, if you come in from France or Qatar or Ethiopia, and you have emergency service, we're not going to kick you out of the hospital. We're not going to deny you service and all that stuff. We never have. But to paying the bills for everybody, and then, oh, we're going to make them pay $100 a month. $100 a month? Whose health care costs are $100 a month? Where can you buy insurance? Carte blanche for anything from a hangnail to a heart attack for $100 a month. There should be absolutely zero. They should be providing, they should be clearing the forests from San Diego to Eureka. They should be building nuclear power plants from San Diego to Eureka. They should be paving roads. There should be more freeways and roads and highways under construction, not repair jacking things up. New ones to replace the old ones. Hell, we got more money. We'll just replace the dam. We'll build a new one, open it up, and then when you're done, no problem. Water reservoirs, we should have an 80-year supply. We should have so many. We should have a water reservoir. Well, we almost do, like Pacific Palisades, but they're freaking empty, the ones we do have. No water shortages, no traffic problems, nothing. You should be able to go at 7 o'clock in the morning from here to LA in an hour, no traffic, 70 miles an hour. There should be a freeway every quarter frickin' mile. Yet we're just planning on $8 a gallon gas because they're going to close the frickin' refineries under stupid. And he wants to renew AB 32, which started this, which was the price gouging that was coming from Newsom and AB 32 that I can guarantee you almost. Prove me wrong. It was on this show before anybody who was outlining this per the state of California's energy website, why the price gouging was going, where it was coming at the refineries. The government, the state of California, was taking most of the $1.50 a gallon that the refiners were charging over the carbon credits. And the ding-a-ling Newsom wants to run it for another 15. He wants to extend AB 32 for another 15 years. It's precisely why the refiners, why we're going to be down to 7, if not 0, very soon. It's why Mishke from USC is predicting $8, $9 a gas by the end of 26. Because we'll be importing gasoline from China, of all frickin' places, under that stupid. And again, look at the statistics. Most of you ladies voted for Newsom. Like almost 2-1. Oh, he's so cute. I want to blank him. Oh, I have wet dreams about him every night. Screwed up the root call. We cannot run on 111% emotion. You can have all the wet dreams about Newsom you want. Just don't vote him as frickin' governor. Or mayor of San Francisco. Run through some of the budget highlights from KCRA3. Here we go.
Stock market.
The impact, of course, of the swings, the volatility, the uncertainty across the spectrum is its chilled investment. Market swings, you can see just last month, feels like a year ago, was just literally weeks ago, a $10 trillion swing in the markets. Markets may be up yesterday, down today. We'll see where they are tomorrow. That uncertainty is leading to uncertainty as it relates to business decisions and investments. You can see the impacts on the largest retailers and expectation that small businesses have laid, that their decisions that need to be made today as it relates to backpacks and school supplies and decisions that will be made in just a matter of months as it relates to Christmas supplies might be impacted by the indecision or the uncertainty, both and, coming from the White House.
So we're going to blame Donald Trump. It's all Trump's fault, who's got grocery prices back down to when he went into office, when they were at their lowest inflation adjusted almost in history. Now they're back down to that point. Is it Trump's fault that we're paying $5 a gallon of gas, probably $6.50 by the end of the year, $9 by the end of 26, Newsom?
The governor hasn't fully explained how he will cover the deficit, but he does want to help close the gap with changes to health insurance for undocumented migrants. That program is costing more than the state expected. So the governor wants to keep the program, but with some new rules, including...
They need Ashley Zavala given the report. What do you mean? Twice as much? They budgeted $6 billion first year that for health care for illegals. And it was $12 billion. Now we're borrowing money to cover the 6 that we didn't anticipate. Now we got a deficit. Health care for everybody. Oh, compassion. You know those evil hillbillies, racist white boys. They don't want they want to go out there and they get a big jolly out of by watching people die. This is crazy.
$100 monthly premiums for those 19 and older and ineligible for federally funded Medicaid. Freezing enrollment for full scope medical aid for adults, and no new applicants over the age of 19 can sign up for medical, dental, vision, hearing, or substance use disorder screenings. The governor says those currently covered won't lose coverage, so that's really important. They won't lose coverage, but changes also won't affect pregnancy and emergency related care.
What the hell you mean those are... Oh, you're going to discriminate? Why is one class of illegal aliens any different than the other? The whole deal behind immigration should be for 5 years. You're not accepting, as long as you are in this country, if you are in this country illegally, you're getting zero taxpayer funded benefits, period, end of story. Three times. This is exactly like the school budget. That's why the school budget is 3 times higher, because our regular budget's 3 times higher. They get 40% of the general slush fund. Math is not that hard to figure out. That's why they want to teach your kids to be stupid. They teach them stupid, not mathematics, not English. If you're going to become a citizen of this frickin' country, you better be fluent in English. Period. If you're not, if you want to speak French or Spanish or Swahili, go back there. We speak English in the frickin' United States of America. If you want to live here and you want to become a citizen and you want to do it right, learn to speak English fluently so we can all communicate on one basis. This isn't the half of it. We'll probably get more. Well, maybe when Susan Shelley, if the phones work. Susan Shelley comes in, we'll get a little bit more into, maybe we'll get more depth into the particulars of the budget tomorrow and Friday, because it takes a long time to... Notice, we didn't have a joint session with the Assembly. We were in a Zoom, we were in our offices, and they were zoomed in. In the press conferences, they're zoomed in. You can't hardly understand what the frickin' questions are. In 2025, with all the frickin' technology, you can't hear the questions because frickin' Newsom is too chicken bleep to stand there and take the frickin' questions. Here he is with the smug-ass look. He's in the little studio, not live reporters asking questions. Here's his little tirade. This was the most classic. Well, actually, Zavala rolled it off with, hey, you know, with the, you know, the budget's almost 3 times when you came in here. What's the freaking problem? But this is the vagrant crisis. Let's set her up. Gavin Newsom's first elected position, mayor of San Francisco, which means the city limits and the county of San Francisco are the same. The only city and county that have the same boundaries. You know, every other county has cities and unincorporated areas. So there is no city elected offices. There's county board of supervisors, and the mayor is the head of the county board of supervisors. Works kind of like your city council, just as it's a county deal, because of the 58 counties in California, San Francisco has that unique status of being the same boundary as the city and the county. So he gets elected with the Getty oil money and whatever in 2004 as mayor of San Francisco, being the chief executive officer of the city county of San Francisco. Puts in him and Darrell Steinberg, which now is mayor of Sacramento, which has about as bad a vagrant problem as San Fran in LA. The three big areas that are the worst are Sacramento, well, four. Sacramento, San Diego, Los Angeles, and San Francisco. So they came up with Prop 63, the Tax the Rich White Boys Act. Supposed to wipe out vagrancy, mental health illness in 5 years by 2009, gone. They spent just $27 billion in that program as of 2 years ago. Now it's got to be well over probably 30, 35. He spent, by some estimates, since he's been governor in 2017, $40 billion additional, not comparing what Brown spent. So we're well over, in the 20 years he's been yakking about this issue and saying he was going to fix it 21 years ago by 2009. Over $100 billion plus, and probably way over the plus, has been spent on vagrants, drug treatment, let them all out of prison, which is another cost of that, and businesses and closing and everything else. And this jackass has the audacity, in about a 3-minute tirade, to sit there and blame everyone but himself for the problem. Here we go.
Single plan at every county level for behavioral health. Our accountability website is about that, to shed a light on people that are actually performing and those that are not. I highlighted Turlock a moment ago. I'm not trying to point fingers, but my gosh, the state has never done more in its history. We've flooded the zone. Yes,
you flooded, as we said in the intro. You have flooded the zone with vagrants. We have half the vagrant population in the United States, and we're only 12.5% of the population. It's 4 times bigger per capita than it should be, because we've given $100 billion. Housing first. Oh, it was a housing problem. We got to build them 200 square foot bungalows at $1 million a piece and charge you poor suckers in California for it. So me and my friends can get ultimately rich. I can afford a $9 million frickin' mansion, because Jenny Pooh's tired of the $3 or $4 million one we got now. You created the frickin' problem times a gazillion, and you're trying to blame everyone else. This thing has exploded under your policies and your watch and your governance.
Time to move on from stale talking points and step up. There are counties that are doing it.
Yeah. See again. Oh, we got to step up, pounding on the table. How much? What policy? Every frickin' policy you've done in the vagrant, healthcare, mental health has failed. Failed miserably, beyond comprehension. Never seen before. What in God's frickin' green earth should anybody think you have a new solution? We have been insane. Especially you in the smarter half of the population. You voted for this. You told us we're a bunch of racist white boy men, stupid. We don't know what we're talking about. Oh, you're all mean. Gavin Newsom's so not. Look at how great his hair is. And then we wind up with this ish. You want your kids to be stupid? So that's what's happening. You want their future to be junk? Because that's what's happening.
Incredible work. We applaud them. There are many cities doing extraordinary work. I applaud them. There are many cities that are not and many counties that are not. They just have to do their job. And I am just, on behalf of the taxpayers of the state, in the spirit of Ashley's question, I'm not interested. I'm just not, as a taxpayer, not just governor, I'm not interested in funding failure anymore. I'm not.
What do you mean? You funded it for 20 freaking years. $100 billion. You pound on the table like you're some sort of, why don't you do the Khrushchev, take your shoe off and pound, or whoever it was. I think it was Khrushchev back there, in the 60s, pounding on the table, we will bury you, or whatever. That's what this guy is doing. As a taxpayer, I'm upset, not as a... Then you shouldn't even voted for yourself. Ever. Because you've been the head follower-upper of this whole thing. You've been at every station of this in 21 frickin' years. Out front, center, failing on this issue. Vagrancy and doing something compassionately to help those who are mentally drug burnout or whatever. You have not, you kicked them out of the prisons. Oh, we're too mean. You didn't build no mental health facilities. No, nothing. You got them out there in the streets. Our kids got to walk over and watching them have sex, pooping on the sidewalk, walking over their drug needles to school. Well, no wonder parents don't want their kids to walk to school, because they got to put up with this. Then that causes traffic and pollution, and we're all going to die of diesel and gas smoke or whatever.
I won't. Time to do your job. People are dying on their watch. Dying on their watch.
Dying on your watch. You've been at the head of this. You've been at the point of this for 21 years. No one has had more influence on the condition that we're in than Gavin Newsom. Again, he's been at the point of well over $100 billion spent in 21 years at his influence, either direction, starting with Prop 63 in 2004. Remember, he said, Tax the Rich White Boys Act, we're going to have vagrancy and mental illness that will be off the streets. You won't even see it in 5 years by 2009. Everyone, I think it would be 111% of the people would love to have the problem that we had in that area 21 years ago before this doofus got involved in it.
How do people get reelected?
That's what I want to know. Well, I can tell you. Because you preyed on the poor Mexican citizens. You promoted racism, especially in the black community, to hate the white man. You con the women. Again, oh, those evil white boys, all they want to do is, I'm your savior. That's how you got elected. Are you paying attention? Women, Mexicans, and blacks. Are you paying attention? And are you going to do something about this in 2026? Are you going to vote Corey Jackson out as Assembly member? In Assembly District 60, Moreno Valley, Paris, San Jacinto, some of him at Romaland, and that. Are you going to start electing candidates to your school board, city councils, state assembly, state senate, governor, insurance commissioner? Are you going to elect Cowfart Lara again? I don't know if he can rerun, but if he can, you want to pay 38% more on top of the biggest increases. You want to be priced out of your home because you can't afford insurance. This is Prop 13 over again when they were kicking people out by jacking their property taxes out. Now the plan is, well, we'll just get them where they can't afford to insure their house anymore.
Look at these encampments. They're a disgrace. They've been there years and years and years and years. I've heard that same rhetoric for years. People are dying.
No, yeah, you heard it because it went from your lips right into your ears because you were shouting it. Just stand up there and blame everyone else for what you caused.
Kids are being born. Overdoses. I met a young man, literally, was out there doing Project Homeless Connect, reaching out near the 405 freeway. I found out the next day he was dead.
That's because you failed on your promise to eliminate this by 2009. You go with your buddy Steinberg and Gray Davis. Well, Gray Davis was out, wasn't Arnold. Yeah, stupid Arnold was in there. He probably supported it. I don't know. You're acting, that death is on you, buddy. We gave you the money and the funds to fix this back in 2004, and you said you'd have it done by 2009. It's 2025. And you're trying to cry crocodile tears about somebody who probably died because of your policies, your actions, and you want to act indignant? God, I don't know how hard-hearted, how narcissistic, psychotic you got to be to stand up there and do this like he did today.
In the name of compassion, because we had a notice. I could have helped them that night. I felt like a fraud. I felt like I let them down.
You did. You are a fraud. You did let him down. You said this was going to be fixed 16 frickin' years ago. Done. You have zero. You have the least compassion of maybe any human being that's ever walked the frickin' planet. You're the biggest fraudster, possibly, in the top 3 in the history of the frickin' world.
Got to be more aggressive. I saw a young child, a young kid in San Diego, was with the mayor of San Diego right before his State of the State. This poor kid was addicted to meth. He was a wonderful kid. And he said, I'm really glad you came. He goes, I'm struggling. And there in the tent with his wife was a newborn baby. He said, thank you for coming. There's no compassion in denying what the hell's going on in the streets and sidewalks.
Of course. What did you do? You put the conditions in and enabled that poor guy, his poor wife, and that poor young baby to be in the condition it's in. You advocated for it. You funded it.
They need to step up. Enough of the rhetoric. I'm serious. Enough of the rhetoric. People are dying in this state. It is a disgrace. It is
a disgrace, and it's because of your policies. And now it's because of the explosion in healthcare and everything else. It's going to cost so much money now that you fouled up the healthcare system, not only in California, but with Obamacare. And you get to find out what's in it after we pass the bill. How frickin' illegal was that of your little relative Nancy told us? And now the Medi-Cal and everything you promised has failed. You failed that baby. You failed the person who really needed the help.
one of the principal reasons people are so angry. They don't trust politicians. They don't like what they see.
Yeah. What is it going to take? What is it going to take for 50% plus one of Californians to say we've had enough of this? We are done. From Ulysses Cabrera, lying sack of crap, Corey Jackson in our area, Rivas, Eloise Reyes, all these yo-yos, Isaac Bryan and all them clowns. Mark Takano.
I'm sorry to get so intense about it. It's a moral issue. They need to do their job. And if they can't do it, let me know. Just say we give up. And then we'll intervene.
Oh, the guy who's fouled it all up's going to fix it. Unreal. Unbelievable. Not unexpected from this clown. He's been doing that ever since he hit the public scene in 2004. And we are paying the price.
We'll come up with different strategies and different approaches, but I'm sick and tired of all the barriers and all the BS and all the excuses. So that's the spirit of this model ordinance and what this model ordinance does and what we're promoting. And so I hope people take a good look at it.
Yeah, we'll take a good look at it as we're throwing it into file 13. Because anything you came up with has been, everything, past history, best indication of future behavior. You have failed at every frickin' opportunity. Not only in this, gas prices, lying about it, just like Victor Manuel Perez, sitting there at the cardboard in Riverside, voting to jack our gas prices up to 65 cents more a gallon. When you had the facts, you're sitting in the Mary Nichols building, the lying sack of crap that they built AB 32 on, the study, evidence, Victor. Go look at it. There was a fraud. Mary Nichols put a fraud as the carb head that building you were sitting in that voted to screw us, your vote. Yours truly was out there and put the facts in front of you. And you still, you know what? You middle fingered us, this California citizen. No, you're gonna be servitude, just like your little deal with Chuck E. Cheese up there. Please punch down. See if I can take it. Chuck E. Cheese and Victor Manuel, please come in here, sit beside me, and I will give you as much time as you need, or so you think you can do, to prove me wrong. But no, you got very important jobs. You know what? Not one person out of 8 billion in this frickin' world is more important than the next. Nobody's job is more important than the next. It takes everybody working together to make a society, to make a nation, to make a county, to make a city, to make a world. The dude cleaning the toilets is no more important to the president of the United States, ping pong, the dictator of China, or whomever. The corrupt yo-yo that's running Mexico with the cartels. Anybody that comes up with that is the height of arrogance. I don't know. Sometimes you just, I guess, have to wonder.
And I hope they take me very seriously.
No, we're not taking you seriously. What evidence do we have? The only thing we take you seriously is you know you're going to screw us at every opportunity. Every day of the week, anytime you can. It's like you did to your campaign manager, first wife. Everything else, we're all a sum total of our character and our actions. And remember this.
30 seconds, 30 seconds.
All of you that support Gavin Newsom, you're supporting him. He's not supporting. Jesse said we'll be joining the Mighty Met KMET here in a few seconds. Hopefully, Susan Shelley will call in and the phones will work. We'll get her thoughts maybe on this budget and her columns for the week.
5 seconds. Here we go.
Wednesday.
Today, IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET.
There's a funky slide guitar music that comes in every Monday through Friday live at 5:30 on the Mighty Met 1490 AM, broadcasting all over the Inland Empire and the aforementioned AM band. Join our vast video audience in the Evil FB Network, Rumble. I don't know, X is giving me trouble again. YouTube's still up. We don't know for how long, but we love to irritate those folks every day. Look, something to look forward to. Oh, Naked Vagrant, probably. Naked Man's in a home here in SoCal, naked on the couch, eating the food, drinking the booze, thrashing the house. We just got Newsom, well, we're $12 billion budget. So 8-9 years ago, we were running the state up completely on $100 billion. Now it's 322. There shouldn't be a care in the world. Went through that, plus his little homeless rant. Absolutely incredible. He blamed everybody but himself. He's been the main guy for 21 years of why this problem is ridiculously embedded in California. And I can, like I said, I spent a half hour just on it, on that whole rant he did, trying to blame everyone but him. In 21 years since he's been mayor of San Francisco, to lieutenant governor, to governor, he's been the point person on this, starting with Prop 63 in 2004, which was supposed to solve the vagrant and mental health crisis in 5 years. We spent over $100 billion in that time. And it's worse, and he's blaming everybody but himself. Man, as we usually do on a Wednesday, we have the famed editorial writer, columnist for the Press Enterprise, San Bernardino Sun, Inland Daily Bulletin, Redlands Daily Facts. More important to me, Vice President of Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association, Susan Shelley. Welcome to iNewsWire with Roy.
Thank you, Roy. So great to be with you.
Did you hear the rant he went on when the question was asked about the homeless at the budget deal today?
I missed the exact rant.
Oh,
what did
gosh.
he say?
He blamed everyone but himself. It's about 3 minutes long. It's about 2 hours into the deal. I know you'll watch it at some point.
I will.
You're going to be absolutely astonished. He put crocodile tears, blamed everybody himself. Like I said, in 21 years that he's been in public life, he has been the point person, if not for the last 7 years, the head guy. We've spent $100 billion plus on this easily in that time, and it's gotten off the charts worse. And he's sitting there. I'm gonna stop because I'll say something I shouldn't of what's going on. I mean, that's probably the most infuriating thing that he has done so far in his political career, Susan Shelley.
Well, I read his model ordinance that he's handing out to cities for how they can address the homeless encampments. And, he's very good at getting headlines that say what he wants them to say, which is Newsom orders cities to get rid of homeless encampments. That just plays great. But when you actually look at what he's doing, he's stopping cities from getting rid of homeless encampments with his model ordinance. Now, he can't control it, but at least one city wanted to make it a crime to help people set up a homeless encampment. They made it illegal in Fremont, California, in the Bay Area, to aid or abet a homeless encampment. So you could not bring tents and all this stuff to help people set these things up. Well, Fremont was terribly criticized for this and ended up taking the provision out. And then here comes Newsom saying, oh, yeah, that's terrible. Cities have to right-size their ordinance. So he wrote this model ordinance, or someone did, and essentially what it says is cities can force homeless encampments to move 200 feet every 3 days, but they can't ban them completely. And then he has special rules on how they have to preserve people's personal belongings, but they don't have to preserve anything that has needles or feces or insects or rodents. I mean, it was disgusting reading this. And then they have to have a hazmat person come in and document what they're throwing out. And the whole thing is crazy. I think he's really trying to make sure that cities don't crack down on homeless encampments rather than do crack down.
There's too much money in this thing. If we had done what he had promised with the Tax-Rich White Boys Act in 2004, and they were going to clean all this up, vagrancy, no mental health by 2009, there wouldn't have been $100 billion that we would have thrown away on this. It should have been fixed. We gave them the money to fix it. They made it worse because they have been using this. That's why, like I said, whatever $3 or $4 million mansion Jenny Poo and him were living in wasn't good enough. What, he had to buy a $9 million one? Where do you think the money's coming from, people? Susan.
I agree with you. I don't know where the money's coming from. Our tax dollars being channeled into these different NGOs, these non-governmental organizations, and then it winds up back in the pockets of politicians. And that's the homeless industrial complex in a nutshell. They get huge contracts. There was one woman in Fremont who was complaining about this part of the ordinance that made it a crime to help aid and abet a homeless encampment. She was with an organization called Abode. I looked up her salary, $230-some thousand a year for running around making emotive, empathetic statements to help people get into housing. Well, when people are being paid more money than they could make in the private sector for this non-governmental work with government money, something's just wrong. It's a grift.
The reason I set that out, and I figured you'd seen it because your column this week, I mean, you to write the column you did, you had to know he was going to say what he did, because your column says Newsom still doesn't have the guts or ideas to get vagrants off our streets, yet he's sitting there up there blaming everybody in that, and you're exactly right. His plan that he's coming out, that he touted after his little rant, like you're talking about, is just going to make the problem 150,000 times worse than it is right now, Susan Shelley.
Yes, what he's trying to do is look like he's doing something other than what he's really doing, which is it's a real gift in politics. It's called lying in the rest of the world, but in politics it's called success. What he's trying to do is make it look as if he's cracking down on homeless encampments when in fact he's enabling them. And to have an ordinance that forces the cities to try and move people every 3 days with 2 days notice, the whole thing is just insane. How many sanitation cleanups with the hazmat teams are the cities supposed to do? Every time they see a homeless tent or encampment, they have to run in, post notices, tell them to leave in 3 days. Then they only have to move 200 feet, and then you have to do it all again. And the whole thing is premised on the idea that there can't be any compulsion to get people into treatment. So we're borrowing $6.38 billion because of Prop 1 narrowly passing. And you remember how narrow that was. Newsom himself was chasing ballots. So they narrowly passed it. It's $6.3 billion in borrowed money for facilities, treatment beds, long-term and short-term residential and outpatient treatment beds for substance abuse. Okay, that's not housing, that's a month, and not only that, it's not mandatory. So you have people who are living in these tent encampments who are completely destroying themselves with substance abuse, and there's no coercion at all to say you're going into treatment, we're going to get you into treatment, and then housing. You can't do that. You have to wait for them to say they're ready to accept treatment. Well, how many people in the throes of alcoholism or drug addiction make good decisions?
Zero.
None of them.
Yes.
Zero, exactly. So if this is California's policy, then we're going to have terrible outcomes every time. And you're compelled to pay for it as taxpayer. They're not compelled to take advantage of it, but you're compelled to pay for it even if the beds sit empty. And this, I think, is just a failed policy. It's certainly not a model for the nation. It's just a horrific, terrible failure.
I remember when I heard that when it came out last week or when it was floated, and they said, well, after 3 days you can clean them out. How about in 3 seconds when from the time the cop gets there and gets them, or ambulance carries them off, or however they get out, that's it. They're not coming out until they can prove that they can function normally in society. I don't care what facility they're in. I don't care if they're in a jail, treatment facility, mental health facility, or however you want to designate it. Just get them the hell off the streets. Like you said, they are mostly, 98.7% of them are never going to be of the mental capacity that they can take care or live in society and as normal functioning people. So we've got to do something with them, but it's just a different tack to the same insanity we've been doing for 20 or 30 years, Susan.
That's exactly right. It's just performative. He wants to look like he's doing something. He wants a headline that says, I won't tolerate encampments. But he's not, there's nothing behind it. It's vapor. And this is really unfortunate because taxpayers are paying a lot. There have been 4 tax increases in LA County for homeless services. The problem's worse than ever. And now they're going to have $1 billion a year coming in from this latest sales tax increase, and they're pulling it away from the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority, and the county's going to set up its own agency. Well, how long is that going to take? And what are they going to do that's different than what the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority was doing? I think they're going to waste the money just the same way. So, this is, in my opinion, this is really, it's a tragedy. It's a tragedy for the people on the streets. It's a tragedy for the taxpayers. It's just such incompetence by government. And it doesn't have to be like this. There are solutions. One of the solutions is we could eliminate the housing first policy that we have, which says that government-provided homeless housing cannot turn people away if they are using hard drugs. Well, how does it help anyone if you have someone who's using hard drugs in their free apartment, alone, behind a locked door? How does that help us? It doesn't. And so that's a policy that we could get rid of. That's self-imposed. And another policy we could get rid of is that we won't use large hospitals. We won't have large mental health hospitals anymore. Everything is 16 beds or fewer in order to get federal reimbursement under Medicaid. Well, if we get a waiver from the federal government, which we are allowed to get, we could get that. Other states have done it. If we get a waiver, we can get reimbursed for care in a larger hospital. And guess what? There will be more beds in a large hospital with less staff relative to the number of beds, because that would be more efficient. And we could, in a cost-effective way, we could care for people who should be patients because they need medical care. And they don't have to be sitting on a bus bench or standing in the middle of the street screaming their heads off because they're not well. They could be cared for. But no, Governor Newsom wants to have outpatient care in community clinics and give these contracts to his friends. And this is just really unspeakable. It's very, very sad.
The other thing, in the newest state senator from OC, Tony Strickland, I heard him a little bit ago, and I think he's right. Just before, right as Brown was going out and Ding Dong was coming in, we ran this whole state general slush fund, all the special funds, federal money, whatever, our federal taxes, whatever, a little over $100 million or $100 billion for the whole budget. Now we're 8 years later, we're at 322, 3 times higher. There should not be a problem in California ever. 3 times the budget, 3 times the money they're getting now. And we're looking at deficits, disaster. We can't cover this. Gas is going to go to $9 a gallon. Healthcare costs are exploding. You can't get water. You can't afford electricity. You can't afford groceries. I mean, the traffic is ridiculous. I mean, if you weren't living it, I wouldn't believe it, Susan.
Well, you're so right. It's just tragic what's happened to this state. And when the governor was asked about this, he was asked if all the blame belongs to Donald Trump, as the governor kept saying, or if some of the blame belongs at home. He bragged for 3 minutes straight about all the giant spending programs he's so proud of, like transitional kindergarten and all these other things that we didn't have to do. We don't have money for it. Full scope Medi-Cal for undocumented immigrants. We didn't have to do it. We don't have money for it. Other states don't do this. Other states provide emergency care only and pregnancy care. They don't do the full health insurance for people who are in the country illegally. But we're doing it, and we can't afford it. We're doing it anyway. We can't afford transitional kindergarten. We're doing it anyway. We can't afford a lot of these things that he's putting in place. So what's the plan? Is the plan tax increases? I think it is. I think he wants to look toward tax increases. He said he wants to extend the cap and trade program till 2045. No, thank you. That's going to cost California, according to the the Legislative Analyst's Office, that will cost up to $260 billion in today's dollars by 2045 out of your pockets in higher gas prices, higher electricity bills, higher costs for manufactured goods, and anything that's transported like food. So why are we doing this? Why don't we cut spending to what we can reasonably raise in revenue without killing everybody? Oh, no. We can't do that because everybody in government has a union, and every union has a PAC, and every PAC is writing a check to the governor and all of the lawmakers, and that's why we can't have good government, because we are just totally dominated by tax takers instead of taxpayers.
We could run this state on 50 cents on the dollar of what they're collecting today, easily.
Yes.
And provide the services government should be providing at a level that would probably be, that could be 87 times better than they were. And that's your second column of that. They're going to ask for, like it with the extend AB 32. That's going to drive gas prices predicted by the USC guy to $9 a gallon, and why our refineries are closing, and why we're probably going to be in 2 years importing gas from frickin' China. That your column warning of California's gas tax hikes are coming. That's what they're setting this all up for, Susan.
Yes, they are. This is the extension of cap and trade. Currently, 25% of cap and trade funds go to build the bullet train. So right now, the LAO said that currently it's costing 23 cents per gallon of gasoline for this cap and trade program, which is a hidden tax on energy. So it's costing you a nickel a gallon or more right now. And it could go to 74 cents a gallon it's costing 23 cents. What did I just say? It's costing 23 cents a gallon for the cap and trade program, and it could go to 74 cents a gallon. And it's just ending up costing Californians so much money for this bullet train. And now the governor wants to move some of that cap and trade money for the fire department. Well, okay, but why does the fire department have to be funded with this program? Why isn't it funded from the main budget, which it should be? This makes no sense. And then they have plans for more taxes. They want to extend the Prop 30 income tax increase, which passed at first in 2012, and it was supposed to be temporary, and then it was renewed in 2016 to run all the way to 2030, and then it's going to expire. Well, they don't want it to expire, so they want to have something on the ballot to have the voters reinstate that forever, so that the income taxes on higher earning people are always as high as they can possibly be. Well, they're leaving the state, and when they leave the state, the Treasury takes a hit. So then they're going to raise it more, and they think that's going to work. But the scariest one that they're considering came at a Board of Equalization meeting. You know, the Board of Equalization is a state agency that oversees property tax assessment. And they heard a presentation on how income taxes could be raised on people whose property taxes are too low because of Prop 13. How do you like that?
Yeah, they must sit up 24/7, 365 and figure out how to make a day longer. Trying to figure out how they're going to defeat proposition, or they're trying to get around Prop 13. You couldn't count the ways that they have tried to come up. That just infuriates them. What is it getting close to 40, 50 years close to that's been that still infuriates them today that they cannot crack that, Susan Shelley.
Well, you know what? We have just done something at the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association that's going to fight back for taxpayers. We have just filed an initiative called the Save Prop 13 Act of 2026. And in 2 months, we're going to start collecting signatures for it. We have to wait for the Attorney General to write a title and summary. I can imagine what he'll call it. But whatever he calls it, we call it the Save Proposition 13 Act of 2026. And this is going to close one of those loopholes that makes it easier to raise taxes, because we think it's too easy to raise taxes in this state, and we have to shut that down. So this is a really important initiative that's going to save people a lot of money, because right now with the legal loopholes that the courts have carved, local governments could actually repeal Prop 13 at the local level and raise your property taxes to whatever they want, as long as they did it through a so-called citizens initiative, which means they get their union friends to go out there and donate to hire signature collectors, and then they collect them, and then they pay for the campaign, and then poof, Prop 13 is gone. So we are going to shut this down. It's the Save Prop 13 Act of 2026, and you'll be hearing a lot more about it as we get closer to collecting signatures.
And with that, we got about a minute left, and this is another important reason why you should join the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association, unless you want to be taxed out of your home like they tried to do to us 50 years ago. Go.
Exactly. Go to hjta.org, the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association, hjta.org. First thing you want to do is sign up for the free email alerts so that you know what's going on and where you can sign the petition, where you can download the petition. You want to get in on this. So sign up for the free email alerts and you won't miss anything. And join the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association. It's a nonprofit, member-supported organization that fights for taxpayers in the legislature, in the courts, on the ballot, on the radio. And we are fighting all the time to protect your interests in California and to keep you informed about what is going on with your money. So join, be aggressive in California, cancel the U-Haul stay, and fight for California. hjta.org.
Thanks for being on, Susan. We'll do it again next week.
Thank you, Roy.
You got Susan Shelley, again, columnist extraordinaire, vice president of Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association. Man, oh man, what do we... That's another if we don't fight this stuff down the line, they will bury us. No question about it. Lock, stock, and barrel. No other way around it. It's getting to be beyond critical mess, as they say. Let's wrap her up, as they say, with the local news. We have posted on IE Newswire, and there's a bunch. Moreno Valley popped some thieves. They're getting a pretty good year. The 5-finger discount is out in Moval. Cops arresting some retail thefters, as they say. And that's a good job, Moval cops. History of that, the lemon exchange in the history of Corona. Some of the neat stuff that was way back. I think that was back in the 40s of that. There's a picture of Old Magnolia Avenue down in Home Gardens, or between that. Look at the nice landscape and not stuff. In the 60s, it's changed a bit. Ryan Hewitt was arrested and charged with murder. He's the one allegedly that drug the poor 79-year-old Corona man to his death in the carjacking attempt. Redlands cops get mad, get an award from Mothers Against Drunk Drivers. They're not mad. That's Mothers Against Drunk Drivers. AMC Theaters offering 50% off on tickets going forward. So if you're a moviegoer, unlike me, you'll get... I probably won't take advantage of that, but you might. If you go on Wednesdays during the summer, you'll get 50% off on your tickets. 10 days till the Salute to Indy, Paris Auto Speedway. That goes back almost 50 years to Ascot, so get your tickets. Get prepared for that in a couple of Saturdays from now. Mount Rubidoux, one of the treasures we still got left. It would be nice if we could drive back up there again, but hey, it's the times again. But still, you can walk up there. It's a great place to see the whole region of the Riverside, Harupa Valley area. Lake Elsinore dispatchers are sweet, or with the suite. So thank goodness that they're there, because they're the ones that answer the phone when you dial 911 or need services. So thank goodness for the dispatchers. Moreno Valley deputies were honored by MAD for their work in keeping drunk drivers off the streets. Hemet police found $15K in stolen goods. So good job, Hemet cops, catching the thieving criminals. Again, Newsom's plans on cutting health care to illegals, as we posted this morning. Redlands Unified School District censures arrogant board member Melissa Alea Quintero, and we'll have more for that from Candy and Jeanette, who are holding up the fort down there for us. City of Rupa Valley, thanks everyone for their second annual Public Works Open House. Rancho Cucamonga gets a local store thief, or alleged thief, was arrested for petty theft. So good job there. Fontana man charged with murder of killing a man in Pomona. From the PE. Motorcycle ride wide to the wall down there in Coachella for this week. So there's another great old photo from the thrifty store there at University in Chicago, where the miniature golf place once was. It's a little different today. Redlands teacher arrested for alleged sex abuse of a minor. There's the wall of shame on there from Hemadi News. As we go through, we got a few seconds left. Mother arrested for child abuse after 2 toddlers found in a Rancho Cucamonga home. That's from KTLA 5. Remembering fallen officer Brent Harris. The Hemet Sheriff's Station is that. Rolling Stones were at the Swing Auditorium in 1965. Getting close, 60 years ago. Wow. Something else, all the stuff that's going on in the IE. That'll do it for today, as we usually say at this time. Mandatory, you're back here in 23 hours. Why? The show in the whole wide world. Until then, see ya.
All right, I will talk to you tomorrow.
The stream key went out of the Twitter thing again.
Did it? Okay, I'll have to stop by then.
Yeah.
All right, no problem.
You'll see him.
Bye.